It's the 5th of March 2019. I'm David Griffin. I'm here at Stanton-by-Dale Cricket Club and I'm talking to
Sally, Alton.
Tricia Taylor.
Jasmin Turner.
Jill.
Lovely to meet all four of you. And one of the great things about cricket, I guess, is that participation is not limited to just the gentlemen. And I understand you ladies have had a fairly rich history working and involved, engaged in cricket. So if we could just start with you, Sally, when did you first get involved in cricket and how did it come about?
My father played for Stanton-by-Dale Cricket Club, so I spent a lot of my youth actually up at the ground, Friday evenings with practice sessions, nets, and then my husband plays for the same club now, so it's carried on for a very long time actually.
Did you like cricket? You know, as that little
Yes.
girl running around about, did you enjoy
Yes,
the game?
I did.
Did you want to play it?
But
And
girls
did you play
didn't
it?
play at that point, so
No.
I was
They
always.
don't they?
They do now, but
Yeah.
not when I was.
So you missed your opportunity.
Yeah, so I spent many hours, and you know, at the ground.
Yeah.
Over 40 odd years, but so more so as a youngster than maybe currently.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back to you in a moment. If we can just go to Tricia. Tricia, what was your earliest connection with the game of cricket?
Well, it came about when I married Brian. I hadn't had any connections with cricket before we were married, but then I was keen for him to play as much as he was keen to keep playing, because he'd started playing obviously a few years before we were married, and I just enjoyed the social aspect and being with people at the weekend, and I just liked the game as well, so I was bonded, I suppose,
Yeah.
with him and with the cricket
Excellent.
at the same time.
Jasmin, your
Yeah.
earliest connection to the game?
Yeah, that was when I met Bob, my husband.
There's a pattern emerging here, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. I haven't got any interest in cricket, and probably haven't now, really. But yeah, you just get, like Tricia said, the social side of it, and then
So when I'm not going to be too, I'm not Michael Parkinson, so I'm not going to pry too much, but you know when you found out that he was a cricketer then and you were courting in your youth, did you think, oh, this will be nice, I'll go and watch a game of cricket, or did the thought of it just put you off completely?
I don't know, just sort of ended up going up there because he was there, I
Right.
suppose. You followed the
You want to see him on a Saturday, it was go to the cricket.
Yeah.
Lovely. And Jill, where was your cricketing induction?
Well, with David as girlfriend and boyfriend at about 18, so it's gone on, and and then tea, as you say, social aspect, and as you say, if you didn't go, you didn't see them.
So what was the social, I mean, because we talk a lot with cricket clubs, and throughout this project, one of the themes that's come out of it is how the social side of cricket has changed, partly for drink driving, partly because the role of the woman in the home has changed, lots and lots of different reasons. But what was the social life like when you started?
Well, we used to meet up there. There'd be about 2, 3, 4 ladies doing
all do the
teas,
teas together.
and we just have a general chat. And over the years, our teas got really splendid, ham salad teas.
So who got you involved in that? Was someone else already doing it?
Well,
and they...
yes.
Yes.
I mean, I started. Sally's mum, Joan, she used to.
Your mum was doing it?
Yeah, she
She's
would
the one
have
to
been,
blame
yeah.
then for
yeah.
getting you all ready.
You mentioned Doug King earlier. Well, his wife was there, and lots of the ladies there, and just said, "Oh, would you like to help?" And then it got to be, "Well, you're doing teas this week." and
We had a rota, didn't we?
Yes, yeah, I had this rota, but we still used to come whether we were
Yeah.
on the rota or not. Yeah.
And was there any rivalry about who put the best teas on in clubs? You know,
Not really,
were you looking to make sure Stanton-by-Dales were
Oh,
the
yeah.
good to both?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I think there was always an aim to provide a
Yes.
good tea. But in the very early days when I started, I can remember Mrs. Roper was a tea lady, and she'd be there every Saturday before I think we got involved a little bit more. And there'd be a sit-down salad tea, laid out on the tables, which was quite formal and
Yeah.
you know, it created quite a bit of work, I think.
She still lives in the village now.
Does she?
Was she?
Yeah.
Were you doing
Yeah.
teas as well, Sally? Have you graduated to
I
teas?
probably
or-
helped out, but no. To be fair, my husband does his own teas, so you know, I'm not in the same league as the ladies at the side of me. I think the thing I remember on the social side of things is there were events as well as the teas, and they were all held up at the cricket ground.
Right.
Discos to raise money.
Really?
And there's certain
So
memories.
what
on that
era
sort
are
of
we
thing.
talking about here, Sally? What
I'm
years
guessing
were
about
these?
75.
70s through the 80s, perhaps we used to have
Really?
socials up at the
70s,
ground.
80s.
Yes.
And that must have taken a lot of planning and a lot of organisation, so presume, and goodwill, I would have thought.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, we used to. I mean, I should think I was involved in the social side with the Halloween parties and things. They must have started late 60s.
Really?
In the 70s, and we used to trudge up to the
Social
cricket
Yes, I
ground
remember
and,
those now. Yeah.
pie peas and whatnot, carry the generator, carry the beer, or not as personally. But yeah, I had some good nights up there, you know, and stormy weather in New Wellis, and it was great.
And there was
Yeah.
no water, though. We heard from in the
Yeah.
first interview, there was no water until 90...
There
Well,
was
no water for showers, anyway.
Oh no, there was water in the sink.
Right.
No
You know,
electricity, I think,
when I
showers
started,
Right.
yeah.
was mentioned, I think.
So that's why
Yes.
you took the generator up to...
Yes, there was no.
And did you have people from outside the cricket club coming to these social events?
Yes, but well, we took our friends up when we went up, yeah. But they were never involved in the cricket was playing.
Yeah.
But, they enjoyed
And how
it.
important has cricket been in it? Because you look at a village, and it is a very, as I think I may have mentioned in the first interview we did, that this is the smallest by population place that we've visited, and yet we've got an enormous turnout to give some cricketing memories and recollections. I think this is a record number, and the most women certainly. So how do you keep that going? How in such a small centre of population do you keep that working?
Well, I mean, I didn't live in the village, so we sort of came up there and we've stepped back a long while ago. So it's up to the other ladies now, I don't know.
You're still involved, aren't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm still involved in making teas,
Yeah.
very often on a Sunday with Nina.
Nina is sitting
Yes,
outside
and
here.
And has that changed
Stephanie, who
the
can't be
way in
here
which
tonight.
you do all of that? Has it changed from how it was when you started, or is it just the same process?
very much the same. I suppose there are less sandwiches nowadays and more healthy foods like,
Well, there's
Yeah.
not, is there?
yeah, like a lot of fruit, melon and grapes.
And is that a demand from players?
I think an unspoken demand. I think, you know, we have provided those sorts of things, and they have actually been eaten, you know,
Right.
not left. So, you know, I think that's proves that, you know, it's quite a good move, really. Yeah.
There's some clubs, obviously, that higher up the chain you go, I guess, who now bring outside caterers in for teas and stuff like that. Is that
Possibly.
presumably that's something that you would dismiss, or is it just the way of the world?
I think the cost, really. Yes, I think it would be perhaps quite,
Yeah.
quite expensive.
Do you ever get any
Small
complaints about the teas?
No.
Well, now's
I
your
don't think
chance,
so,
now's your chance to name that person or that cricket club who threw that lettuce back at you. Here's your chance.
Talking about lettuce, as you just mentioned then, Jill Mills and I always used to organise the barn dances up at their farm. And we did ploughman's suppers. And one of the highlights was us washing tons of lettuce, wrapping it in a tablecloth and hanging it on the line to dry. You know.
Really?
And you thought, what were we doing?
But I'm sure it was appreciated.
Oh, I'm sure it was. I had some good fun.
Do you find that young wives and young partners of the modern generation of players want to be as actively involved as you have been over your lives?
Well, I can't say because we're not
think so.
really involved with the cricket club anymore, but from an outsider now point of view, it doesn't seem as though they are. But
What about your view?
No, I think
would
the big difference is that the club these days, the majority of the players are outside of the village and people are travelling a long way.
Yeah.
So a lot of maybe partners can't give a whole day to a game of cricket. So I don't think there is the same sort of commitment in that.
Natural social changes then, I guess.
So yeah.
Just it's not quite as enmeshed within the village as it used to be.
Yeah, and sometimes I think players bring the tea. You know, a player is designated to make some sandwiches or some cobs and bring them up to the ground. If you know, there's nobody else to do it.
What's been the most enjoyable? I mean, you've got between you, I suspect if I counted up, you must have 100+ years and counting of involvement in cricket. What have been the highlights and the joys and the happiest times for you?
Well, I think some of the social events that we've organised, generally from my point of view, just being up there and
I used to do score. I mean, I don't even understand the game of cricket, but I have scored for them. I used to enjoy doing that because it was something to do, and you watch the game. When you do that.
That's a confession, isn't it? When you say you don't understand the
Understand
game,
it,
but
you score.
I mean,
I'll let you
I think
into a
you
little
did.
secret.
I
There's a lot of people don't
learned
understand the game.
about cricket through doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the highlights for me was last year. We had our 150th anniversary, and the MCC and MCC side came to play, and that was a wonderful occasion. And we planned with Nina, and I'm not sure if anybody else is here who was involved with the catering, but that was quite a mammoth task, wasn't it, Nina?
Yes,
We had
it
plenty
was.
of meetings beforehand about what food we were going to prepare and how it was going to be organised and everything, because we're limited with space in the pavilion. But it was really successful.
The 150th celebrated apart from the game? Were there other events that you were involved in?
The dinner at Trent, we had a dinner at Trent Bridge.
Really?
I remembered. Yes. Yes, Colin Slater's come to talk to the club dinners, hasn't he? But yes,
Lovely.
but he's had some interest in the club.
And so what's the future? You're saying your involvement to the club has stopped now, but
yes.
you're still involved? You two are still involved. So what do you see as your roles going forward? Chairman?
no, not
Treasurer?
No, I couldn't do it to Derek Stanton.
Well, he's been doing it for 66 years as treasurer. Somebody's going to say one day, can somebody else do it for me? You don't fancy that?
No.
How do you see, because the game, and I'm interested genuinely in this, because we've got a vast change in cricket over the last 20 years. You know, 20 years ago women played cricket and still wore skirts. And if you played in a men's game, you had to play with the men and change with the men, and all that has changed. So do you have an interest in the women's game? Does the women's game...
We played a women's match once against the men. But
Did you
the
really?
men bowled and batted left-handed to give us a...
Don't say that, you could have made everything. Who won?
Well, us, of course.
Where was that? That was played up here.
Yes.
And what year was that?
Oh gosh.
Oh, when was that, Bob? Can you remember?
1980 something? In the 80s?
Oh, excellent. Did you get any photographs or anything of the event? Quite unusual, men against women.
There might be some in existence somewhere, but I'm not sure where. I don't know that I've got any.
Well, ladies, it's been fascinating. One of the great joys of this project is meeting people, and to have met all four of you and just listen to your cricketing stories has been...
May I add?
Oh, blimey,
one more
don't.
thing? It was just going back to the first few years when I got involved with David and coming up here. We used to have practice nights, Friday night, and I used to come up and meet in the checkers where they used to drink. And David was taken on one side by Doug King to say, we don't really have ladies on a Friday night.
What did he say to that? What did you say to that?
Oh!
What year was this then?
Oh, it must have been, it was before we were married, it must have been about 1963.
So I guess they could get away with saying it then, because
Oh,
it
yeah,
was,
yeah.
that was the
yeah.
way it was.
But it didn't stop me.
Good on you. Good on you. Did any of you have that experience, this chauvinistic
I was too
approach?
young to get in the pub.
Oh,
To sit outside.
you weren't greeted with any of
No,
that sort of.
no.
No,
I
you
remember
managed
any
to.
instances.
Well, you've obviously
Okay.
stuck at it, and you've obviously.
Yeah.
Go on.
There was a Tea Ladies Challenge a couple of years ago when we had a shortage in our water, or our water supply was cut off because of a leak in the pipe, obviously. And for a season and a half we were out without water. So in our remote location it was quite a challenge to carry on doing the teas. But we had plenty of able-bodied men who filled up big containers of water and carried them up to the ground, and then it was up to us to pour them into the urn and all sorts of things. So that was exciting, a challenge.
Wonderful. Well, as I said before, the beauty of this project is meeting people and just hearing about these stories of what it's like to be at a cricket club, and it's been mirrored probably up and down the country by thousands of people like you. And I don't want to patronise you, but I think it's appropriate to say thank you. I'm sure everybody at Stanton-by-Dale Cricket Club's grateful for your years of service, and I'd like to thank you for sharing your stories with us this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.